Good day and welcome to Personality Profile here on Joy 99.7 FM and of course Joy Prime as well. I'm Lexis Bill. You know, when I take my seat like this, it means I have somebody amazing to talk to, a journey that you and I will certainly want to hear about. And that's why today we're seated. I have royalty in my seat today, honestly. Yeah, today we celebrate royalty. We celebrated Ghana Month not long ago, celebrating our ingenuity, our traditional customs and our rules and all of that. But today, there's a man who epitomizes all of that. Traditional royalty, the best of medicine, the best of politics, and a whole lot more. A life over 80 years that we can all learn from. I'll tell you about him. So sit back, relax, and let's do this. Now, I'll tell you what. From very humble beginnings, my guest has risen to become an iconic figure in the world of dermatology and general medical practice as a whole. He's a fellow of the American Association of Dermatologists. He's been that since 1986 thereabouts. He's a member of the British Association of Dermatologists as well since 1992. He's been a commissioner for the International Commission for Health Professionals, ICHP, an affiliate of the World Health Organization. He's been that since 1989. He's a founding member and former National Secretary of the Ghana Society of Dermatologists, Foundation Fellow of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons since 2005, founding member of the African Association of Dermatologists as well. He actually was an adjunct professor of dermatology at the University of Development Studies UDS Medical School for 10 years and also a professor of dermatology at the Accra College of Medicine. Yeah. Now, after gaining extensive knowledge and experience from around the world, he returned to Ghana to set up Rabito Clinic in Kanda at the time. Yep, from modest beginnings 50 years ago, Rabito Clinic has nearly 27 branches throughout Ghana. It's also given birth to standalone Rabito laboratories and Rabito pharmacies in parts of Accra. My guest was also very active in politics. He has served as the national chairman of the Convention People's Party. He was almost the flag bearer of the CPP until the elders of the Chiir royal family in Nandom said, no, our son needs to come home and lead us. He took up the vacant throne as Paramount Chief of the Nandom Traditional Area. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome His Royal Majesty, Naa Professor Edmund Nminyem Delle Chiir the VIII to Personality Profile. His Royal Majesty.
Thank you.
Do I prostrate? You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So nice to see you. How are you, Prof?
I'm fine. I thank God.
Yeah.
80 years in life is not easy, but when God has given you that strength to go on, you give your gratitude to God, and then you are there to let people know that a life well lived is always a life to treasure.
Yeah.
Thanks to the Lord, our Lord Jesus Christ. My greatest joy of talking to you is to encourage others I have met in life, younger ones, and I want them to be greater than me in future. That is why I really love to teach.
Yes.
Make sure that what God has given me, I share with others. Definitely, we talk of humble birth, but actually, humble birth, one would say yes, because my father, who was the son of Chiir the First, in those days, polygamy was usual. And being a prince, he married a lot of women.
Okay.
And my mother, who was sent there as a young girl to serve him and to serve one of my mothers who had just given birth to a child, stayed there for a couple of years. And I think my father, despite the age difference, saw she was a charming woman and went to tell the royal house in Nandom that he wanted my mother to be his wife. And of course, it was accepted. And so actually my mother was the youngest of my father's wives.
How many wives?
Well, according to the story, some are estimating that he had about 18 wives.
Oh boy.
How true it is, well, but those I met, there were 10.
Okay, you met 10.
I met 10,
okay.
So that one I remember. Yeah. But according to the story, being a prince at that time, I'm told he used to go around and he was good in trading. So when he went around and saw any beautiful woman he loved, he would just walk to the family and say, I want this lady. and, yes, so of course, by doing that too, he has spread us all over Upper West.
Yeah. Okay, yes. We will talk more about that story. Yes. I'm particularly interested in whether you followed your father's footsteps. But
oh yes,
but we'll get there. We'll get there. One of the things I personally am impressed about, and I wish I could tap in, and I pray to God that we all live to be 80. Yes. But how have you kept so strong and you look good, you're well, you've got beautiful skin. Of course, you're a dermatologist, so but you're fit. So what do you do? What's the secret? What's the fountain of youth? Where is it? Can we tap into it?
Yes, I think first and foremost, my belief in God. And all my years, one of the things I never escape is my morning prayer in church. Oh. Every morning, I'm up by 4:30. By 6:30, I go to my nearest church and pray to God.
Oh, you actually go to the church?
Yes. If you want to catch me, it's Christ the King. Since 74, you find me there, and my seat is there. What only pains me is that those I started with, the majority of them are gone. So sometimes I feel lonely.
Okay.
To see people you were 50 years is not a joke.
Yes.
Then you find they have gone, and I'm sometimes feeling sad that why is the Lord still keeping me? And I said, who am I to decide?
Yeah.
So that is number one. The second thing I see about it is keeping myself always active.
Okay.
In fact, I make it a point that every day between 8 and 9 a.m. I take a walk. And that helps me even to know where I am, whether I'm in East Legon or here. I go around and just see the thing. And I learn a lot because by doing that, you see places you would hardly have seen. So exercise is number 2.
Wow.
But the third important thing is also what I eat.
Okay.
As the great people tell you, you are what you eat.
Yes.
I've been a vegan since 50 years.
Wow.
I started first as a vegetarian.
Okay.
In 1957, before independence, slightly before that, I read about Muhammad Gandhi. And he talked much about vegetarianism. That means try to avoid animal foods, but you could take milk. But as I grew, after doing that, I decided that no, let me go to the highest I could climb. And I became a vegan 40 years ago.
Wow.
Vegan, that means I depend only on plant protein.
Okay.
I have never tasted meat or fish or anything for the past 40 years. It's only fruits and vegetables. So animal protein is not part of me. I like to eat a lot of vegetables and I drink a lot of water.
Wow.
Because what people don't realize is that your body is made up of almost 75% of water.
Yeah.
So if you come to my room, anytime you find me with my bottle of water, in fact, to show the evidence, she's carrying one for me.
Yes.
So that I sip it and sip it. And as you sip, you hydrate your skin.
Yeah.
You hydrate your joints. And people should know, this is a secret. There is no medicine more powerful than water. You drain it, a lot of it. We don't wait till we are feeling thirsty.
Okay.
Then it's already an alarm. That why? No, as much as possible. You sip and sip, and you keep your body fine. So I find out that these 3 things have helped me.
Wow.
My first, faith in the Lord. My second, as I said,
exercise.
Pray in the Lord, and then, of course, my exercise. You don't. And if I say exercise, I don't necessarily mean that you should. No, do it according to your age. And more importantly, for elderly people like us, I choose walking as the best exercise.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with where you are. Even in your room, the space you have, walk up and down, 10, but make it a regular thing. Not do it today and tomorrow I'm tired, I can't do it. So this, in my life, these three things have helped me. God first. And in fact, I remember a very famous speech which was made for us when I was in this. And I still remember it. And that is, place God first.
Place God first, yes.
Above all things. Place purity, integrity above bluffing and popularity. So anytime I repeat this, I say, yes, place God first, above all things. So God, the great healer, and that has influenced me a lot, because if you read the motto of Rabito Clinic, I say, we medicate you. It's the Lord who heals you. So I've always put this in my mind, and I use that capacity to help a lot of my patients.
Yeah.
Even if I give them water to drink, and they believe that water, they get healed. And the miracles of God are still going on. People don't know. They are still going on. And that is why God has told doctors, those of us who God helped to become doctors, that look, it's a vocation of love. If you cannot love your neighbor, don't be a doctor. If you don't, you cannot love people, don't be a doctor. Because it is a profession of love, care, respect for this opportunity to help your neighbor who is not feeling fine. So I think if there is anything I've taught my children, and they have said, they said, Daddy, one thing we can never forget about you is seeing you every day in prayer. Wow. Telling God that, look, I am your son, and I believe in you, I trust in you. And it will explain why I've escaped. I've had 17 to 20 accidents. My car accidents going around, and a plane crash in 2000.
You serious?
Yes, 2000. And of course, I'm never ashamed to show this, and I show it all the time, that to talk about my belief, there it is. I never go anywhere without Christ, without my mother Mary. So when I was climbing up the plane to go, and one of the colonels called me and said, oh, please, Prof, we are sorry, we want to be real. Can you make a prescription for me? I said, what is wrong? I went to the place. So I climbed up. When I finished, they took me up to the plane, and I was given a special seat. Normally, the military will show respect for me. When I got there, somebody was seated on my seat. So the military man said, this is not your seat, it's for... He said he's not going. He sat there. When we crashed, he was the person who died first. 7 others died. So the faith, my faith has healed me. And when this was played, this famous Chronicle came out, and I showed my rosary. My thing is God who saved me. My faith in God has helped me a lot. If you read about this thing, I think BBC said the one who has cheated death 3-4 times. It is because of my belief that we are all created by one God. And that one God, when you believe in that God, nothing can do you wrong. Always there will be God to say. Because I was going to, after I was then CPP chairman, I went and talked to my people in Kumasi, and I was going to Damango. My nephew was made the bishop of Damango, so I was going to him to, look, either the driver was sleeping and I didn't. We went and banged ourselves into a tree, and I fell out of the car. And if you saw the car, I was on my ground. Of course, I never forgot my rosary. I held it like that. Within 10 minutes, people passed. I said, this is our Rabito doctor. It was a big truck. They picked me up and sent me to the nearest clinic. I got to the nearest clinic, of course. We are all human, but I held this and said, Mary, you are my mother. Help me to make sure that I also survive. So I got there, I was quite conscious. So I immediately told them, call my son, Bangu Delle, that's my first son. Tell him to tell President Mills that I've had a very serious accident, so I need his assistance. He immediately sent a plane to pick me up and brought me here. And I went and I survived it. And many others. Yes, so God,
you indeed have cheated death.
Me, I've cheated death several times. What pained me, and it remembers me, is that for me, to die is to live, because this is not the only place we are going to go. We'll go elsewhere, but I'm ever grateful to, in fact, the latest incident which showed my belief in God was that almost everybody knew that I was dead, because the doctors, they said, looked and gave me 50 chance of success. They cut me open. So I came up and I said, Jesus Christ, the people still need me in Ghana. My people have just made me a Paramount chief, so please be there. And so, look, you won't believe it. Within a week, I was walking and telling everybody, the old soldier. And the nurses were looking at this old man, but what's wrong with this old man? And that's how it is. I have lived my faith. Yeah. And I encourage people that there is a God who looks kindly on all of us. And if you believe in this God and you follow him, don't let anything worry you. He will always take you out.
This is very profound.
And in fact, the 2001, what impressed me was that.
You mean the plane crash?
Yes. I was a lady whom I got to know 3 years after. She saw me, and because it was raining heavily, she went and ordered a taxi on her own and took me to the military hospital. But we were many, and of course, I didn't blame them. We crashed, so everybody panicking. I was pushed into a room near a toilet, and of course, people who knew me were very disturbed. How do you treat this man like that? Professor Akosa was one of them. And I said, we are sick. So when you are sick, don't think of special solution. Yeah. A German friend of mine, head of the accident, he rushed to a military hospital. He said, oh, I've heard Professor Delle is sick. He's got an accident. He said, please, give me away. This man has helped me in life, and I won't see him suffer. He just signed me off and flew me straight to Germany. Took care of me free of charge. Made sure that I was well healed before I came. So that's why I say that another thing in the years I've learned is that your God, your family, your friends. As you grow, don't forget these things. Your God, your friends, your family. They are the people close to you, and they will always help you. Yeah. And that is the time you get to know who really loves you. Yeah. So I owe him a lot of... He did everything, and it was fantastic. So
you have such a beautiful story.
Oh yes. So I want, if there is anything I can leave for posterity, is that we have a true and a living God. Yeah. If you believe in God, don't worry about anything. You will always be saved. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, I'm totally inspired already, even before we get into the thick of the conversation. Yes. But after 80 years, I mean, I came into Rabito. I know this year marks 50 years, right?
Yes,
50 years of Rabito.
Yes.
And I thought by now, you'll probably just be supervising. You actually are still working.
Well, this is also one secret about life. If you retire, you are condemned to death. Because you feel that society doesn't need you again. And that is what is actually making the old people to die. Because you stop them at a time when they should contribute more to society. Okay. And I saw it in Europe. I was invited to a university in the US, where I went and saw somebody. I was introduced to him. He's been there. He was 92 years old. And he was always the first to go to he retired. He saw even students who became professors, but he was there. So I was inspired by that. And I said, no, this is exactly the type of life I want to live. Yeah. I want to live and continue to show respect for my people. My services are needed. Because one, it isn't because you share your knowledge with the younger ones. And that's why I'm teaching at the Accra. I taught in UDS for 10 years. I'm teaching at Accra College of Medicine. And if you come in my room, you see these young students with me, and I enjoy it. Wow. Because you hear from them, and then you exchange ideas with them. And I think old age, I would be the last person, if I were president, I would not like people to retire at the age of 65 or 70. If your brain is still working, why? Because even it's the age that we need you more, because there is no competition. You are not competing with anybody. Are you competing with anybody? No. So I think we should learn this, that we are throwing away the old people who should be there with us, even if he doesn't have any food. Let him be on top there, as we did in Padua. Padua, one of the oldest universities in the world. We had our you hear of Rabito, I'll tell you that later. But his Rabito's boss and his boss's boss was an elderly man. When I went there, he had stopped teaching, but they put him on top. Jesus, with all our technology, when we had a difficult case, we would just run up to the old man. I said, "Oh, old man, we've seen this. So I saw this during the war. I think it is this disease." And all our research was putting us in trouble. But he was able to tell us clinically, seeing, examining, without even, because that is what we talk about, the clinical experience of the elderly.
Okay.
They will tell you. So this is one message I'd like people to know.
Okay.
The elderly people, we need them. Even if he's not coming to compete with you. So sometimes I feel bad, for instance, taking your profession. The old journalists who are there, still alive, let them know that they are still useful. Of course, you have your computers. We were born before computers. But at least listen to the old man. And he will guide you. And in fact, this is one thing I would like to leave a message for Ghanaians. Let us not push our old people to the grave early. Supposing I were in my town, they say I'm old man, I can't do anything. Before you know, you can't move, you can't do anything. But once you have people who excite you, my young students come here, oh, is this and this, and I try to listen to them and try, and I learn more from them than they think they are learning from me. Because I know what is happening now. So the early people, please, don't let us push them to the
That's really cool. In your 80 years of life, if I asked your proudest moment, something you look back and it just makes you proud, what will it be?
I think I must say my proudest moment was in my political field. When the CPP unanimously took me as their national chairman without anybody competing with me, and going as the second time as chairman is very rare. And all they did was to clap for me. The old man has come, let's give him. Of course, I said, this type of respect I have not seen. And you know, politics is a very difficult game. I was so happy that it's what, and that is why, as you said, I was hoping that I could stay on and go as their presidential candidate. But my people think it was time for me to get back to support them. And so even though that was a pleasure, but it was my political career. For you to be told by all the people that, look, you are going as chairman, nobody should challenge you. And that is one of the legacies that I have, I'll never forget.
Awesome. Let's flip it now. If you look back, your biggest regret?
Actually, my biggest regret too is political. Because I thought at the time I came as chairman of the CPP, and we had people like Dr. Mahama, who was my bodyguard at government secondary school. When I was president of the Ghana Young Pioneers, he was my bodyguard. And the people around me were so close that I was convinced that history will put it on record that under my leadership, the legacy of CPP will be kept. We will unite without any discussion. And that was the biggest regret. In fact, we call the year was that 1992 has been one of the years that I regretted, that I sacrificed. So all the splitted CPP parties, we used to come and meet here. And one of the, so when I went to Kolibu, I don't even remember what I told them. They said, no, let's come to Rabito. And all Nkrumah's small splinter parties should become one. We succeeded in a way. We got CP, then we fought in court. They gave us CPP. So now, when Dr. Liman died, we said, no, forget our differences. Let us have a convention people's party, including everybody. And that's my greatest regret, that despite efforts I made, I couldn't unite all CPP together. And that really is something which I felt very bad.
Why weren't you able to unite the CPP? What was the main bone of contention?
The main bone of contention was that I don't know, I still believe they were influenced by the two big parties.
Okay.
Yes, big parties can penetrate here, penetrate there, because it is still what I still find. The things were obvious. We knew that going alone, singly, we couldn't do anything. We come together, and then this one, and it failed. And I used to tell them, united we stand, divided we fall. And that is also one of the things that has kept me saying that why. But I haven't given up. Now that I'm an elder and I'm this one, I'm still sending the message to the young ones that we must really make sure that one day we have a third force in Ghana, and that third force must be the Convention People's Party.
Does it hurt you that during your lifetime, you've not seen the CPP rise to the top? And in fact,
that is actually the challenge. I couldn't do that. I regret so much.
Yeah. And
I regret it to this day, because the young ones, I'm happy. Like a young man called me and said, "Oh, Prof, we know you are now a chief, but are you happy seeing your party in this state affairs?" I said, "No, I'm not happy." But in one way, quietly on the ground, I will still call them that they should never give up.
Do you think the CPP's inability to gain power ever since constitutional rule in 1992 and all of that, do you think it had anything to do with the kind of flag bearers you put up?
Definitely. It has to do with the flag bearers, because you must be somebody who should be strong enough to get everybody on. And then, as I said, integrity is very important. Keep yourself, you see, that has been our mission, the leadership. You see, I'm a very incorrigible Catholic, and I believe in unity. And I believe in being a servant leader. If you are a servant leader, it's better. You go on the ground, talk to people, and that has been my strength. I don't sit in my office there. When I was chairman, you find me in the night, I'm going around the place, sitting with the people. And I learned it from my mentor, of course, Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Go to people, sit with them, listen to them. And I believe one day I will live, if God gives me, live to see CPP come to power.
Okay. Yes. Now, let's get to the beginning.
Yes.
And when I say the beginning, I'm talking about what, 1943, thereabouts? Somewhere, I think that's where you were born, right?
I was born in,
1943 in Nandom.
Nandom, I was born in
when the prince of the Chiir family was looking around and looking for an 18th wife.
Oh, yes.
And then, so you were born into a very big family.
Yes.
Lots of children, lots of grandchildren, lots of mothers.
Oh, yes, of course.
At the time, was it that system where all these wives, you called them your mothers, or were there little rifts or anything of the sort? Share with us how the growing up was like.
My father was a great leader. And my father was actually somebody who instilled discipline in the family. So that we didn't have things like, this is my mother, that is my step. No, everybody was a mother. And he did it in such, we had the old thing that, spare the rod, you spoil the child. So I remember quite well when we were young, you may do something and your mother will spank you. But we were taught, when she spanks you, cover your mouth around now. Because as soon as you pass, the other mothers will. So they told you that your mother cannot do wrong. She slaps you. So when you start, you close your mouth and go around. And I was pleasantly surprised that old man could have these women around him. And he was able to, and one thing I know about my father, the way he walked with this thing there, and then the way the women were always imitating him and teasing him. Oh no, these women, they will imitate my father. Look how it was. And the old man will smile apart. And then, of course, see the children in grades, those of us who were young, 6, then 8 years, then 10 years, then 12 years, because he did his family planning like that. So that if you see, I was one of the third. So there is somebody 2 years after me, and it's like this. So as for the family system, it was good in a sense that I'm now a Catholic, but the polygamy was not as, because there was discipline. And of course, the first mother, that is the first wife, is always respected by the younger wives. That is our mother, and she has to guide you. But of course, because of the family planning, you get your turn. And so if you see with if I'm, for instance, I'm 80 years old. My younger brother is 78, because the spacing, is 2 years. They did their own family planning. And I think it is that unity that the old man was able to bring us together, that and it's very sad, because I always compare his death to the Last Supper of Jesus. In fact, I remember I was very sharp. He had sent me to school, and you know the story of my mother being the youngest wife was not trying to challenge this illness. So when my father came into my mother's room at a time that normally he didn't come in, my mother was a bit worried. He said, what does the old man want? He said, look, I'm coming to take your son away. He has to go to school, primary school. Of course, my mother said, I'm young. What are my rivals going to say? And my father said, no, I have made the choice. He's going. Okay, what could my mother say? He said, take him to primary school. That was 1943. So they took me there. That was in March, but they started in January. So we were already a month or two late. We got to the school, and then in those days, you just have to do this. And I did it. I didn't qualify because they will do this, no other way. So the headmaster told my father that there is no way they could accept me. The old man turned and asked the teacher, are you sure of what you are saying? Do you know who is for this land where the school has been built? It's my land. And if I can give you this land free of charge, and I bring my son and you say you won't take him, okay, I'll know what to do. So of course. And that is how you gained admission. That was how I gained admission. And of course, he was also talking to his father. In Dagati, because Konkun, who was one of the chiefs, that was his son, who was then the headmaster of the school. So that was, he was talking, and my father said no. So he took me. They took me on that condition that, and to the shock of the teacher himself, and less than 3 months, I became the class prefect. Because I was so sharp. So when my father came and found me in front, he didn't tell you that I saw something in this boy. But the sad news is that I went to school, not even 3-4 months. We were there in school when they sent a message, all of us should go home. I said, go home for what? My father was on his dying bed. So they called and I saw my father. I said, this man, why did you send me to school? You gave me just a Pieto and you are dying and leaving me. It was one of my saddest things. But of course, because in those days, our people believed in a lot of things. And he was actually the warrior for the family. He would go and fight any fight and come back safe. And he loved horses. Here he could jump on top of anything to bring not only a wife home, but an enemy home. He would go up and take him there. So it was something we were proud of. But now, after I've grown up, I got to know he had his famous horse. And I know now, as it's not, he must have hit my father on the, and they didn't know. So it was tetanus.
Oh.
He got killed, but our people didn't believe it. But now that I'm grown, because when that time I saw the people were struggling with him. You put them here, but of course he was already a strong man, known that he was a strong man. They called him the Lion.
Okay.
If there was anything happening there, it happening in Nandom, you call the Lion. And in those days, you know, the DCs, they will let them, our roads there, the women have to go and put it well for the DC's car to pass without dust.
Okay.
And my father was supervising all that. So he was very popular.
Yeah.
He was very popular in this. So you see, this is what happened. So the small boy who now...
became the star of the school.
I became the star of the school. Became this, later on to become the senior prefect and so forth.
Was there a certain profession you were admiring as a child? Did you ever always think you wanted to be a doctor?
In fact, the interesting thing is that I love languages and I love drama. So during the drama, a person came dressed like this. You know, they gave him this to be the doctor.
Okay.
So I saw this. So when I got back, I told my mother, look, there is a profession that they know all about medicine. So it means if I become a doctor, I won't die. Because so I told my mother this, and the lady kept it in her mind. Well, if you see my history, she was always there to remind me that I said I wanted to be a doctor, and a doctor I should be. Because when all other things were happening to me, my mother stood firmly that she would not allow me to divert from what in her thought was in I was brought up in mind. And that's my history.
Wow.
She wouldn't, even though she was a total illiterate, she paved my way for me.
But you didn't go straight to being a doctor?
Of course. You go through, we went to the middle school, and in those days, people are lucky now. You imagine we had only one government middle school in the whole Laura Lambuse country. So, and the best boys, they will take one to go there. Sometimes two. Sieving the exam. And of course, God being good, I topped. So I went to the middle school in Laura. There was only one middle school, so all the best boys came there to compete. And from there, you write an exam, and you'll be sent to Tamale. And that was the only government school that we had. Those of us from, people don't know. That was the only one. So the sieving started from primary school. So all my mates, those who couldn't pass, they already lost the chance. Then we got to middle school. I think one remained. Then we got to the secondary school. So I remained the only person from Nandom, primary school, 1947, who really broke the records. And I ended up, but my mother was always on me. You said you'd be a doctor, and a doctor you'll be. Because you see my political life, I was a young pioneer. Yeah. I was the first. With Nkrumah. So I was president of the Young Pioneers. And of course, the teachers were misreading our intents. But I told them clearly that I thank God I was a young pioneer. Because Nkrumah taught us that you are the leaders in future, and never forget. You are not only a Ghanaian, but you are an African. And we are taught to respect our parents. So all those stories they are writing is not true. We will salute. But no, Nkrumah made us to think that protect state property. So actually, you will see that a good number of the people who have succeeded and kept to his philosophy, you see some of them are now professors in the university. And when we meet, we talk about those days. So it was really wrong. Of course, you had the advantage because once you are a young pioneer, they get to know you in circles. And that is why they wanted me to go and study in Russia. I had the opportunity because the first thing was that. Then my mother would tell me that, why? You are a staunch Catholic. What are you going to do in Russia? To be a communist, you are not going there. Then Nkrumah too was interested in Greek. Okay. So we were three of us who passed to go to do Greek in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Of course, I passed. I went back with the good news to my mother. My mother said, young man, you didn't say you were going to be a farmer. If you're a farmer, they say, oh, there, go, go and farm. No, this woman, I owe my... So when that happened, and I came to Accra, I reported to Elliot. Elliot then was one of the deputy. This one. I said, no, my mother doesn't want it. She says, no. Okay, we are going to, we'll try. If you don't want, we'll try and let you go to Leningrad University to do medicine. The things are still there. I took it so happy. I'm going abroad, because to go abroad those days...
It was a big deal.
I went and showed this, that you are a Catholic, what are you doing in a communist country? You see, the woman really was very, an illiterate too.
Yeah.
And yet she followed my life very well throughout when I was young. Then, as it happened, from there we went to the secondary school, Tamale. Just, I remained the only one from Nandom, 1949. All of them went up the way, and I remained there. Fortunately, 1957 came, and of course, they were teasing us because 6th of March we had independence. So we were both colonial and independent. So we were very much, those days were very exciting days.
So you didn't end up in Russia, you actually ended up in Italy.
I ended up. So, and my mother's prayers too worked for me. So when I didn't go. I didn't go to Russia. Then an Indian, I think his name is here, One Mutuswami. Then I was, when you do that, you have to break for some time before. So I went to the UAC. So the secret of my doing business is that at that time, UAC was in Tamale. And I went there as a debiting clerk. And you know, that's how I learned business.
Yeah.
And so people don't know how I'm able to come and start a clinic. Young man, 1974. No, but it was the UAC. The UAC as a debiting clerk. I was there. Then I went to the 6th form there. I did medicine. In fact, even what people don't know about me was that, and if you read a little about me, I like literature. I could recite Shakespeare for you, and I loved history. Some came with misgivings that the whole war was a bloody fratricide, and considered the Americans as typical Englishmen who were separated from home by accident of geography. That is the American War of Independence. No, we had historians who stimulated us, and I loved history. It was one of, and literature. So what happened was that I was then to decide whether I would do science or art.
Yeah.
My art teacher said, this man, I could French or Latin, do Spiro. And in Latin, I was very good in those. So now, the year came that you have to choose whether you are doing arts or science. Yeah. My science teacher said they would never let me do arts. My art teacher said we will never let you. So they had to throw a stone. They took a head of stone. Then it was medicine. And from that day onwards, when they said I was doing science and I started, my classmates started calling me doctor. Because when I'll see these rabbits, I'll take them, try to oh yeah, so in the school I was very much, so I owe it a lot to my teachers. And it was an Indian who was in charge of chemistry. Okay. He loved me so much that he would call me to go and mark chemistry papers of even my seniors. Wow. So when I couldn't go to Russia, then I was at the UAC, and then it went to sit form. Then he came and said, no, I'll send you somewhere, I'm sure you go abroad. And I didn't know. So he took me to the bishop of Tamale. And because I always go to church, he said, but you have a bishop here. So he drove me to meet Bishop Champagne. He was a Canadian bishop. So I went, greeted him very timidly. And he said, what is your name? So I gave my name, Edmund Delle. He looked at me, where do you come from? I said, I come from Nandom. And the bishop said, you are coming to me? Your uncle is the bishop of what? So why are you coming to me? Go to Peter Derry, and you see his picture there. Go and see your uncle. Because there Dere and Delle, there are two in Dagao.
Oh,
when you say Dere, is the senior. Delle is the junior. So actually my name should be Delle. But you can't pronounce it Delle. So they say Delle.
Delle. Okay.
So the Deres and the Delles are, yes. No. So here was I, very timid. I went to meet the Archbishop. He was then a bishop. I went there and I went and told him that, oh, my chemistry master says that I should go and study medicine. And since my mother says I can't go to Russia, and that he knows that he can help me. So of course, Bishop Derry, as soon as he saw me, he said, oh, my son, what is it? So I told him, he said, no. He said the time I saw him wasn't the correct time because universities are, so I should go and teach at St. Charles.
Oh, okay.
In Tamale.
Ah.
And a good number of these people who are now, I taught them in 1963. I taught them science.
Okay.
And then this was how
that was how you got the opportunity to travel.
So he asked
Italy.
me, go and teach and I'll find a university for you. So he got Padua University for me.
In Italy?
Yes. So as soon as 63, the place was already there for me. So I went to the university.
And that's actually in Italy. That's where the name Rabito comes from.
Yes.
We'll actually talk about that when we are back from this break. If you just joined us, this is Personality Profile, and we are having a very interesting conversation with Professor Delle, but he is a chief. So Professor Naa Professor Edmund Nminyem Delle Chiir the VIII.
Well done, you've done well.
Stay tuned in, we'll be back.
Thank you.
All right, so you're welcome back. This is Personality Profile. I'm Lexis Bill, and today I'm spending time with His Royal Majesty Naa Professor Edmund Nminyem Delle VIII. Yes, he's an amazing man, lived a very beautiful, colorful life. And today we get to learn a bit of his journey as well. And I think before we took the break, we were talking about life in Italy, how you ended up in Padua. What did you go and study there?
I went to study medicine.
Medicine, okay.
And Padua is one of the renowned old universities of medicine.
Okay.
So those who are medical students, most of the names you will read from, they are professors from Valsavio, the one who discovered the circulation of the blood. They all studied in the University of Padua.
Oh, right.
So it's a well-known ancient town where they were the first people to do pathological anatomy, open and do that. So it's noted for that. So it's now, of course, those days it was not easy for you to gain admission to it, but of course the influence of the church, the bishops, he was able to get me there.
And that's where you met a certain man called Rabito.
Yes.
Who was he?
He was the professor of dermatology at the University of Padua. And what happened was that I went there December 1964. So with the cold, the eyes there, I started scratching. So I went and met him. And then he told me, where do you come from? I said, I'm from Ghana. You see, then I started scratching. He said, okay, he will see if he can stop it for me. He gave me some medicine to take. Within 7 days, the itching stopped. And so he told me, look, this young man, promise me you'll be a skin specialist. I know in Africa, you don't have, be one of the best skin specialists. I said, I've just started a medical school. But he told me, okay, I will do what you like. And that was in December 64. From that day, he took me just like his son. So while I was doing the other subjects, but my mind was always on dermatology.
Okay.
He actually followed me up. I did my thesis in dermatology. And so, but because I intended to come back to Ghana, when I finished my first degree, that was in 1970, I told Bishop that since I promised I'll come back to Ghana, I have to go and do tropical medicine. So strangely enough, my name was mentioned in circles, and then I was asked to go to Antwerp. You know,
Belgium?
And Belgium. Normally, most of those who do it in London, but I was the first Ghanaian to opt to go there. So when I finished my course in Belgium, that was the year he was made the head of department. His senior had retired. So Rabito, and the policy is that once you become head of department, you choose the people you want to be with you.
Okay.
So he immediately sent me a message that he wanted me back in Italy. I said, what?
Okay.
I said, no, I'm now the boss, so you come, my son. You'll be my first lecturer, my first assistant. So I got there. And an interesting story happened. Because when I got there in the night, you see, but he has instructed they should give me a room where I would sleep. So I went there and I slept. But there were patients, there were 60 of them. Then one of the patients came with an asthmatic attack in the night. But they didn't even know that I was black because I came in the night and they just put me in there. So in the night when this patient had the asthmatic attack, the senior nurse said, who is this one? We thought he was somebody coming from Belgium, a white man, and you have this little black man. What does he know? And I heard this. That was the first discriminating. I'm black, short, small boy. What does he know? And he spoke in Italian. They didn't know I had studied there. So I, quietly, without their, I just woke up from the place and said, Prego, mi dia una fiale di aminofilina. Excuse me, can you give me a file of aminofilin for the asthmatic? You can imagine the sorrow there. We didn't know that this man could even speak Italian. But I never mentioned it to Rabito. I went, we gave it, and the patient survived. And then they thought I would report them. I didn't report them. Because how do they consider a young man like that? What do he know, even understand Italian? So they were teasing them. After that, the nurses came to apologize to me, and I said, no, you are forgiven. So don't think we black people, we don't know anything.
Wow.
So that was...
Was that probably one of the reasons why you were bent on coming back home?
Yeah. Actually, I had made a promise to Archbishop, the late Cardinal, that, and I also made a promise after reading Nkrumah's autobiography. He was not against your going out, but make sure that you come back and serve your people. And so I actually wrote the bishop before I left that when I finish, I'll come and serve Ghanaians.
I see.
I'm not going to stay there because the type of thing Rabito was doing for me was unmistakable. I went there after 6 months. He made me the doctor in charge of almost 1/4 of Italy.
Wow.
He taught me dermatology, fast track. And then imagine a young man, they push you into a hospital, you are the dermatologist. So I had to learn very fast in the night and go and do that. And so when he realized this, what he decided to do was take all those who were seniors to me and transfer them to other universities so that he will lift me up. And when he retires, I'll take over as head of the first black man. But unfortunately for him, my promise to come back to Ghana still stayed in my mind. So he did all he could. Then I explained it to him. Much as you love me, much as you do this, but I promised my people that I'll go back. So he didn't object to it, and then he in the long run, he agreed that I could come back to Ghana.
And that's when you came to set up your clinic.
My clinic.
And you named it after him.
After him, so I named it after him.
Wow.
Yes, and he followed me up throughout, and he told me, he assisted me that since I wanted to come back to Ghana, he showed me to, and the interesting thing was that in 1972, we organized, Padua University organized the first Congress of International Congress of Dermatology. So of course, when the professors came, I was his little boy. He would take me around and introduce them to all the professors who mattered at that time. So it was very easy for me to go through. So for instance, when he asked me to choose a subject which I thought would create interest for all dermatologists in the world, he asked me to do a thesis on atopic eczema, on eczema.
Okay.
And this is the starting point. So I wrote to all people I knew in Ghana and people I knew, and they said that we don't have eczema in black people. So of course, I wrote it down, get the thesis, I did very well. They praised me. Then he took my thesis and distributed it all the wealth. Proud of his young man. Then the thesis got to France, Strasbourg, not knowing that there was a professor there called Basset. He had been in Senegal for about 10, 12 years. So he called me, he said, my young man, I disagree with your thesis. It's because the research you have done there, you can't be blamed, but you come to me in France, and then we'll work together. So he brought me to France, Strasbourg. So Rabito, I owed him. So we went there, and the first thing he did was that, let me show you that the black skin is not a skin that is so sensitive that it does, but it does work. So we did it, and my hand got swollen to prove that all those things they wrote about the black people were lies. But that is, even in some books now, despite of. So that made me popular. All the people saw it, and I had to let them rewrite a thesis there.
Okay.
To change the ideas.
Yeah.
I wrote to Ghana. They said the only factory we had at that time was the Takoradi cement factory, and they never got any cases of eczema. I wrote to Kolibu, the same thing. So of course I was comfortable in my thesis, but it was proved later on by that man wrong. So I thank God I got a mentor, Rabito, and this man to Professor Basset. And I'm happy to say, because of Rabito, he introduced me to all the dermatologists in the world who mattered. Always saying, this is my son, this is my son. No, he did a great thing for me. That is why I've named the clinic after him.
How has it been running it for 50 years?
Now, that's a very good question. When I came to Ghana, who was 74, was it not at Champong's time? So as soon as I got here, I've never stepped foot in Kolibu for one day. Not one day. I just made up my mind that I will start the first private clinic of skin in Ghana without stepping for even one day. And I said the UAC training helped me. So I went, and of course, I went and talked to the minister, Solomon, at that time. So he told me that, look, you are coming to Ghana. Ghanaians have no interest in their skins, so you will not succeed as a dermatologist. Oh yes, he said, I will not succeed. So to help me, he said, if I'm doing it, I should make sure that I add general medicine.
Okay.
And then I should establish a laboratory. So if the skin side I fail, at least
you can do general medicine to get something.
So we are preserving the name of the first patient I saw is here. So he said this, but I was positive. My mind was already made that I'll break the record, of course. The first patient was a woman hairdresser. We had the second patient, somebody brought a box containing rabbits, because Rabito. So I was sitting at the place there expecting my second or third patient, and saw them. Oh, thank God that now Ghana has a rabbits clinic. We didn't know. Oh no, but he says, oh, and I looked at this and I said, oh no, I'm not. It's Italian. It's Rabito. It's not a rabbits clinic. Oh, so he laughed, and then to follow the minister, the third patient I had was a pregnant woman. Hey. I said, hey, is that the Ghana? I'm a skin specialist. What I see is rabbits and a pregnant woman. Because as far as they were concerned, a doctor is a doctor.
Yeah.
We should know everything. So the minister was right.
Yeah.
And fortunately, too, because I went to Belgium to do the tropical medicine, so it was not a strange thing to me.
Okay.
So I was able to go through. And interestingly enough, Rabito's direct classmate was what we call a family doctor. So every time we had holidays, he would send me to this family doctor. And he would just, once he's Rabito's son, he would tell me, go here. And I remember an incident which made me to say that God. So in the night, I got up there. Then somebody knocked at my door. Then what is wrong? please, we have a serious case. A woman is trying to deliver. So they have asked me, I'm not a Ghanaian. And I said, Jesus Christ, save me. So I went, and this woman was really in. But I learned something that they said, be careful. When you see a case like that, allow God to do it. It is only when it's bad you come in. So I went. And I was just making my prayer, this baby, please come out. And the baby came, and I said, you see the black man, he's a magician. I said, the baby itself knew that. The other came out on his own, or he was that. So this I will never forget. Baby came, I tied. And there was rumor all over that this black man is a magician. He didn't even do anything. I said, the baby knew if he didn't come out. So that's one of the things that Rabito did well. So from here, of course, and I couldn't speak English well after speaking Italian for a long time.
Oh.
If you see the first ones, I used to write them even in Italian.
I see.
Then gradually I picked up. And I'm grateful to my senior colleagues because when this makes the young people who are coming to professions respect your elders.
Right.
So as soon as I came and I was put there, I went to Kumoji. His clinic was famous at that time. So I went and said, oh, I've come. I'm a young man and I'm starting this. And I'm coming to ask for your help. He said, oh, sit down, young man. So we did it. Then I went to Northridge Clinic to Kwaku. And I was down with him. Then I went to Nyaho Clinic. He was this one. They saw a young man, and I went to Bano Clinic. So I went there and sat with them, told me that I'm just a young doctor who has come, and I'm starting my own clinic. And I know you people have been there for a long time. So no. So I tell people, respect your elders. And that is why I succeeded.
Wow.
Because they showed me the tricks of the game, and they guided me. And so I'm grateful to this, and particularly, I also came and met Sakifio, the first dermatologist in Ghana. And Professor Adi is still around. So I went to them and then I told them I've come, but I want to start my own clinic. So I owe it a lot to my seniors who guided me, showed me, and even there was a white man at the Rich Hospital. He said, oh, we don't know much about black skin, but we hear you are an expert on it because I did black dermatology because of the Frenchman. So
congratulations.
So I'm grateful to
50 years, and now you have 27 branches.
Yes.
All over the country.
Yes, more will come. In fact,
really?
So more will come. And this is the thing I was telling the GIMPA students. I wish I had an exercise book to show how Rabito started. Everything that happens in the world, you must have a plan. That book is still there. When I go to GIMPA to lecture, I show it to them. You imagine a young man coming. I took this notebook and wrote that in 30 years, I must have 30 clinics. And I reached that. It's only now the young men have come, they are business people. My purpose was actually to take skin services to the remotest place. But of course, that you pay a lot for it. I was having accidents, crashes, and so forth. So when these children came, now they have taken it as a business. It's not bad, but I took it actually as service to my country. So we reached the 30. It's because now they are closing some. Otherwise, we would have got to 50. Yes, but the children came in and said no. Economically, it's economic madness. I'm also grateful to the governments because the government supported me, to be honest. Because I remember we had to cooperate with them, and then anything they had about dermatology, they would invite me. And I even served as one of the roving ambassadors of dermatology paid by the NDC government at Rawlings. So they made me to go from hospitals to visit to prescribe. And government paid for my trips. Yes, so actually I'm also grateful that government sacrificed. And then the number of accidents are crashed to the extent that during NDC time, the then Minister of Health said, no, we have to help you. It's not fair that you are. So they got me a vehicle for Rabito. as a little contribution from government to support my efforts. So for that, I'm grateful. So Rabito we are known more for the skin than anything. 90% of our patients come because of skin diseases. The 10%, and now the women too are pushing their way through that. We shouldn't forget them. So we have now established a gynecology specialty under my brother, Dr. Delle Adome. Because if you are to serve the country, you can't limit yourself, even though we are known for the skin. But you can come and do general medicine. But I'm still pushing for the skin. My reason for pushing for the skin is that it's the largest organ of the body. And the motto for my university, with the help of God, I want to establish a university of dermatology, the first of its kind in the world. There is none. So I'm preaching this for 5 years, telling them. And in fact, when I mooted this idea 10 years ago, Ugandans came, Nigerians came, and this one. And I started training them here. They have all qualified now as dermatologists. I'm teaching them and then getting these. In fact, there's one Nigerian, Dr. Osazua. She started her own, but she learned from here. I gave them the training. So you can see that I'm happy to say Rabito has become a training center. So the Accra College of Medicine, they bring the students here. I train them and I go and teach. And that is at the age of 80. They won't let me off. They said, no, so I'm really happy. So my dream is, with the support of my children, we should be able to start the first dermatology in the world. There is none of it in the world. We have contacted Harvard University, California was there, and my University of Padua. And they are helping us to start one. Because my reason for it is that cutis salutem. Cutis means skin, health. If you have a good skin, you have good health. If you don't have a good skin, you cannot have good health. It covers us all over the body, isn't it? And then your skin is your passport to society. I always say it, a pimple on your face, on a person, is more important to her than war in Afghanistan. What does it matter? So you is your passport to society. So nobody wants to see a pimple. People will ask you, what is it? So skin, and then don't forget, don't mind. They say, don't mind the body, mind the engine, but not with the skin. On the contrary, I always ask people a simple question. Before we had thermometers and all this, how were we able to tell whether you have malaria or not? Our mothers, they do this, isn't it? So it is the most appropriate organ to show you whether you are healthy or not. I just pull your eyes and I'm able to tell you that, look, you are anemic. So people must know that nobody cares about your stomach pain. But as for your skin, and look at our nails. Women, look at how beautiful the nails are. People watch all that. Your hair and the mucous membranes. I teach my students 3 things about the skin. First, your skin has to do with your skin proper. It has to do with your hair. Is that not? It also has to do with what? Your sweat glands and all those things. And it has to talk about your lips, because it's part of the skin. And even the woman, it goes from the skin into this one. So we deal with all this. And so whether external or internal, the dermatologist is there.
So are you able to give us, just to wrap up on that part of the conversation, 3 must-do things to take care of our skin, to have a very healthy skin?
Number 1, cleanliness of the skin. Cleanliness of the skin. And people disturb the skin a lot. You scrub the skin too much. People must be gentle with the skin. So you get a soap, if it's a good soap. For instance, I did a research on Anago Samina for the 15, 20 years ago. It's good. But it's when they begin to mix it with other things, then it is bad. So if you do that and you wash, so that you see, sweat doesn't accumulate. If it accumulates, it smells, doesn't it? Who likes it, you know? And in between your toes, your groin. Those are the places you must make sure you wash on daily basis and get a good soap. That's the number one thing. If you want to have a good skin, that one, clean your, and the hair. You find, you go there, the wind blows in, you have fungal spores and other things there. So try to comb the hair, do it nicely. And don't forget your ears, under your ears, and those things are very, very important for the skin. Of course, the second thing is your food. As I started telling you, if you want to have a healthy skin, you must eat well. And by eating well, I see have good nutrients. If, I cannot say you shouldn't eat meat, but don't do it in too much. Take in more vegetables and eat a lot of carrots, a lot of greens, and those things are very, very good for your skin. And you know, our old ladies knew better than us. All these creams we spend on these beauty things, sometimes they are no good for the skin, because the greatest protector for the skin is what? The black color, which we call melanin. And we are taught wrongly. They say we should pull it off. When you pull it off, you are likely to have what? Cancer of the skin. And see our brothers who are walking about without melanin. We shouldn't call them albinos. They don't like it. They are living with albinism. If you look at them well, you don't need to be a doctor. You see, they have sores all over the place. So we don't expect you to go and use creams which they say will make your skin fair. You don't know what the chemicals are there for. Simple moisturizing creams, which you can get in the market. Water-based, more importantly, water-based. Look at it. If there is too much chemical inside, try to avoid it. Because I studied the black skin as against the white skin. So I'm able to advise better. And as I said, moisturizers are very good. And I also take water. Drink a lot of water to flush away any toxins. So don't go and buy expensive things. And of course, I talked about the exercise. When you do that, after all, the skin too is a way of disinfecting. When you touch your sweat, what happens? Salt and these things come out. So it's also a means of getting rid of your skin. And simple things like that will make you have a glowing skin. Back in the villages, if you watch our mothers, I was there with my mother, they will go and get this groundnut paste. Am I wrong? They will put it on it, clean it, and they will remove all the, and if you see how their skins are shining with very little, but these days, I'm not against using cosmetics, but be very careful, because they also give us a lot of allergies. So this time we are trying to do it in such a way, sooner than later. Test your skin. See what you can tolerate and what you cannot tolerate. That does not mean that we don't want beauty. We want beauty. In fact, Rabito has established a cosmetic center because of the beauty. So you come and we can tell you what things which are suitable for your type of skin. So
let's talk about. You wanted to be the flag bearer.
I wanted to be. Now I'm not.
Now you don't want to.
No, but I can't be.
Because you are the Paramount Chief of the Nandom Traditional Area. How have you found that role? It's been 4 years, right?
Yes.
Since you took up the seat.
4 years, yes.
How's it been so far?
Well, it is also, I am comfortable, but my love for dermatology makes me to feel that I can't abandon my patients. Because that's what but I'm happy working with my own people, and I'm learning a lot from them. And I think it's good, because when you go there, now at Paramount Chief, I have the elders to guide me. But I now have to know how to resolve issues in the families. So this is something that the courts should assist us. They should train us on but dispute resolution, and all of that. But I'll be honestly, I'm happy the minister was also mentioning it. It is a tradition we should not throw away. Because if you go to them and then you learn from them, they are able to, you come and see them bringing family cases. If you take them to the court, it will take years. But when you sit down together with the elders, you are able to talk to them, and then. So I will say that I'm reasonably comfortable. With the good news is that being the Paramount chief, I have my elders with me, and I have my younger brother who is staying as the. He's actually sitting there on my name. He represents me, and I go from time to time. And of course, the elders, the other chiefs, have about 50 or 60 chiefs under me. 30 of them are Paramount, they are divisional chiefs. And they are of different categories. Some of them have been professors in the university, others have been lecturers, others are engineers. So now the chieftaincy thing, we are bringing people, yes, and so it's a long. So we are learning. For instance, my first the first Kakube festival I made, I was so impressed that the young ones are coming, they all came to contribute so that we learn about our tradition. And we also learn about the moral aspect of being a chief, because the chief is a sample of purity. So they will tell you, you cannot just be moving with any girl. Even it tells you can't even have a girlfriend. If you have to report to them. And then they show you these little things. Now, I'm no longer the person who has to take your time. And you see the smokes they give to us. What does it mean? Heavy. You have a heavy job to do. So you must go step by step. Take your time. The chief should not be in a hurry. And I'm learning a lot from it. Because sometimes you come here, I forget and I start. So this reminds me that as a chief, you should be gentle.
And you should take your time.
You take your time. You know, and it's not easy because...
It's interesting you mentioned the factor also, the bit about you cannot be seen around with any girl and whatnot. Does your role also come with what they call the two wives?
Yes, of course. That is one thing about it. Well, that's why they say you should report. But I'm a staunch Catholic. So we have the Association of Christian Chiefs. So I have to make it clear to them that it's this one. Yes. They can give you a woman who will guide you. She will teach you certain things, but you are not supposed to have anything to do with. Of course, because polygamy is allowed, well, you can, and don't let it be like the case of the chief. And you resolve marital problem. I give you this so that we laugh a bit. You know, there was this Paramount chief, and two men were fighting for a very beautiful girl. And then they brought the case to the palace. The Paramount said, looked at the girl, beautiful, and this one. Well, said, let me go and ask the oracle what he should tell me. He came and said, oh, the oracle has simplified it. I'll marry her. And then you people can go. No, it looks like a joke, but it's a fact.
Really?
Oh, yeah, yes. You can take decisions, and when you take, it's final. Yes, once you have sat with your elders and you take a decision. And I think that's one thing I like. Some litigations which have been going for years, you sit with your elders, you sit with them, they have confidence in you, and then you are able to resolve it. But not this one just is an exceptional case. But it is a fact. It is not a joke. It was given us, oh yeah, yes, you have a lot.
But you're not polygamous, are you?
Oh, no. I'm a staunch Catholic.
So you married one?
Yes, you have one, and you can't. You
didn't follow your father's footsteps?
Oh, no. I hope now I won't even follow.
Now that you're achieved that, you're even allowed to take more.
No. I think.
And how many children did you?
I have 5 children.
5 children. Including one very popular one. Sangu Delle.
Yes, Sangu Delle.
Very instrumental young man doing a lot across Africa as well.
Yes.
I'm sure you must be proud of him.
I'm very proud of him.
Yeah.
I'm very, very proud of him.
He's actually one of the leaders in Harvard, isn't it?
Yes. He's actually one of the directors of Harvard University.
Oh, right.
The second black man to be a director.
Wow.
You know, they put the South African, Tutu.
Desmond Tutu?
Yes, he was the first black man to be made a director of Harvard University. And Sangu is the second.
Wow.
Yes. Not to talk about the Economic Forum, where he's the youngest member of the World Economic Forum.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I think he has even set up something for me. This is a scholarship scheme.
Oh, the Edmund Delle Research Travel Fund.
He has set up a fund. Yes. He has set up a fund. And one thing he has done, I'm very proud of him, is that I've made him a development chief.
Okay.
It's one of the, I took him as a development chief. And the first thing he has done is to make a foundation, international foundation, that will deal with first education.
Okay.
Educating our people. The standards have gone so bad in Nandom that I'm weeping about it. Well, you'll be surprised that the people, the performance, if you check records, Nandom was leading in the whole of Black Africa. With one house, you see he's a professor, one is an engineer, one is this, and you'll be surprised.
But when now it's not the same.
It's not the same. The children are no. Well, the Galamsey is going there and there. I have stopped it in Nandom.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I've told them, no, I'm not going to allow this to happen. The children will go there and this one. So now, the second thing he has done, I'm happy about it, is that he's interested in mental health.
Okay. Which
we ignore.
Yeah.
In fact, during the foundation, I invited one of the professors of neurology, and he tells me that 20% of Ghanaians, we all need mental counseling, not because we are mad, but a lot of things. But the thing that touches my heart about his foundation is that job creation for the youth.
Okay.
He's really out for it. As for education, that's his first priority. Those who cannot afford, when they contact him, he pays for that.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So I'm very proud of him.
One last thing about politics.
Yes.
Before we wrap up.
Yes.
Do you see the CPP ever winning the slot to lead this country?
I'm very optimistic that sooner than later, with the mistakes we have made and with the fact that we have two parties only, I believe strongly. And some of us, even on our dying beds, will tell them that I am very convinced that sooner than later, because the youth who approached me just before you came to interview, a young man called me and said, "Oh, Prof, this is your party. Do you see the state in which it is? And what are you doing?" I said, "No, I cannot be in active politics, but nobody can stop me for counseling, making sure that we bring peace and harmony." So I am confident, because strangely, when I talk to the youth and those who go abroad and go and see what they say about Kwame Nkrumah, I went to Washington and they said nobody could enter there. As chairman, I showed him, "Oh, please come." And they showed me a whole array of books concerning Kwame Nkrumah and told me, so definitely, I'm proud of him, because even those who opposed him now have accepted that they made a mistake. Nyerere is one of them. So if the youth go about history, if they had a chance to read about this man, I am sure that a moment will come when they will review their stand.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, this has been really great. I've totally enjoyed having a conversation with you, and of course celebrating your journey, and of course the journey of Rabito, 50 years of helping Ghana. We say thank you so much.
For me, I can only say that it's an opportunity my country has given to me, and my loves are that I love dermatology. So I love working with my patient. My second love is definitely politics.
Okay. Yeah.
And I owe it a lot to Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah for what I am today.
Yeah.
Because in 1957, when we had independence, there was only one graduate from the whole North. And in less than 10 years, we could count a graduate in almost any house. And this was this education that he came to help us. So some of us will find it difficult to, we cannot disregard what their contributions are. One thing I always tell the youth to remember is that even your greatest critic, look, Adu Boahene was my friend. I've read his book several times. And he made a prophecy that the more time goes, the greater Nkrumah will become. And we are seeing it now. You go to most universities now in Africa, they have a desk for Kwame Nkrumah. So I think we are not saying that other people didn't contribute. No, other people contribute. But he has played a unique role, not only for Ghana, for Africa. And we should continue to pray that one day, we may not, the younger ones will come and they dig into history and will come that it isn't that Nkrumah failed Ghana. We failed him. If we had listened to him, I don't think Ghana would have been as it is today, because we had all the points he gave us. The independence of Ghana is meaningless without the total liberation of the African continent. Are we not there? I prefer independence with danger than servitude in tranquility. You see? Yeah. We have one political independence. Our war now is, how do we win our economic independence? If we, the elders, have failed, the youth must not fail. They should come together, and I always ask people, consider Ghana first.
All right. With direction from people like you, we will survive and we'll make it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
it's
Prof.
A pleasure.
God bless you so much.
Thank you.
His Royal Majesty Naa Professor Edmund Delle Chiir VIII, the Paramount Chief of the Nandom Traditional Area. I'm Lexis Bill, and this has been Personality Profile. And I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. Stay tuned in, and on behalf of my crew, we say thank you for watching it. Bye-bye.
Thank you.